Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be covering the Fusion in depth. Now that we can see it live, I'm going to break down the 4 epics and all of the rares so that you know if they are worth sacrificing for this legendary and kind of reviewing the event in general. We also have a 10x summoning event that's going to be launching tomorrow for Dark Elves, so I will get you all caught up on what you need to know for that. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so obviously, first order of business is this Fusion. These things go live at horrible times for Americans. It went live at like 5 a.m. for me. So we're sleeping 3 hours and we're getting into it as soon as possible for you guys. So let's break open the Fusion here. And we've got Gerptuck Moss Beard. Okay, so the first thing I'm super excited to see is, wow, it's 4 epics that have at least been in the game for a decent amount. Fang Cleric is kind of new, and Umbral was a little bit more recent than the other two, I think, but I could be wrong on that. They've all been in the game for at least like 2 or 3 months, so I'm happy about that. They're not using things that are brand new. As you can see by the red dots, I do have all 4, so I will get the Fusion done today. It's gonna be a long day for me. I'll play a raid as long as it takes. I'll get the Fusion done, and I'll dive into testing the legendary. I'll go over the epics. So first is Fang Cleric, and let's pull open the Dark Elves and go over Fang Cleric. So Fang Cleric is okay. I would say mainly for like faction wars because of the revive mechanic on a 4-turn cooldown. And then we've got a speed aura and all battles by 15. I mean, I could see some utility for Fang Cleric. Not a garbage epic by any means, but worth holding on to and skipping out on the Fusion. Probably not. I would say worth sacrificing for the Fusion. And then next is going to be, there is Catacomb Counselor. Again, a decent epic, not garbage, but nothing to write home about. We've got this kind of like baby Longbeard ability where you team up with, you know, allies and attack, but it's on a 4-turn cooldown and it's only 3 instead of the whole team, so obviously a worse version of that, but an interesting ability nonetheless and kind of fun to watch play out. But again, Catacomb Counselor, decent, but not something I would say you should like super keep for the sake of skipping out on the Fusion. The next epic to go over in the Fusion is Seneschal. I'm probably saying it wrong, but forgive me. So Seneschal has gotten a little bit of hype recently because of the Leech buff, and then placing Leech on an A1, which is a pretty good, decent A1, and it's also got damage based on defense, so we always like that. Again, though, I don't see anything here that's worth, like, you know, sacrificing yourself getting the Fusion over. I would definitely go for the legendary Fusion. Seneschal is again decent in certain scenarios, but I wouldn't say worth holding on to instead of the Fusion. And there is always at least one void epic required for these things, and that is going to be Umbral Enchantress. Now, Umbral Enchantress is interesting. I don't see her used a whole lot in the community, but she can be extremely good in the arena and also faction wars, and she can help you out with some dungeon progression as well. She's got this this crazy ability that is AoE 100% chance to try to place a provoke debuff for 2 turns, and then places an unkillable buff on her for 2 turns, but it blocks the places a block cooldown skills debuff on her for 5 turns. So it's really good for like initiating a wave, clearing it, and then going on to the next wave, and then she'll have her A2 up, attack all enemies, and a 100% chance to place a block buffs debuff for 3 turns that's based on defense and a 3-turn cooldown. So that's a very, very good ability. AoE attack based on defense with a 100% chance to place a block buffs debuff for 3 turns. So that's a reason you'll see her used in the end game in some arena teams, and this ability here can be extremely good for faction wars and dungeon progression. Then we've got an A1 that is basically useless. I don't see a whole lot of utility here, but the A2 and the A3 are very interesting abilities, and she's based on defense. You know we love that. So Umbro is good. I like her design as an epic. I think she's good in the right scenarios, but not like OP. I would still go for the fusion personally if I had to make the choice between keeping Umbro or going for the fusion, and I will get into why right now. Okay, so here is the fusion champion, Gerptuck Mossbeard, and I love the staff. That's the coolest part of this champion here. But I don't know why a tree-themed champion would be kind of setting itself on fire. Usually plants and trees really hate fire, but anyway, that's kind of funny. So I would recommend going for the fusion because of a few reasons. I always recommend getting legendaries when you can. If you watch my channel, you know that I preach that, because you never know when a legendary is going to get buffed, like Dracomorph, and come straight from the vault out into the meta. Same with Masha Led, same with Foley. Legendaries get reworked and all of a sudden they become really good. So I recommend going for legendaries whenever it's realistic to do so, because they get balanced so much more often than rares and epics, and when that happens, it's much more impactful for your account. So it's also going to be tough to find good healing for Ogryn Tribes, and Ogryn is one of the more sparse factions. If you see here how many champions it has, there's not a whole lot of rares and epics, and not a whole lot of really good champions. So if you can get a legendary to kind of be something worth investing in and kind of help carry your Ogryn Tribes to progress a couple levels, I would say that's worth it in terms of long-term account progression. So my general take on the fusion in general is I'm super excited that they are using epics that have at least been in the game for a little bit. And I know I also said that I would cover the rares involved in the fusion. So as I'm looking here, you know, Soulbond Bowyer is pretty decent. Obviously the selling point here and the most endgame viable is going to be Frozen Banshee. A lot of you that have been playing for a few months probably have Frozen Banshee if you participated super actively in the Battle Pass. I don't remember if she required the premium Battle Pass or not, honestly, off the top of my head, but I know a lot of the community does have her because of the Battle Pass, and I know a lot of people have built her because she is super like end game viable in the clan boss and super good with the poison sensitivity and the poisons. So Bulwark I've seen people use to some capability. I have not dove in to testing him a ton, but yeah, that's kind of the three best rares here. You can see on my channel I always preach keeping a copy of all of your void rares and one of each epic, and you can see that's going to be paying huge dividends for me in an event like this where I have all four of the components for the fusion. So I will work super hard today to make this happen and get this stuff maxed out, and see if I can't get this guy this afternoon or so, and then start working on grinding and testing and seeing exactly what he is capable of. So that kind of covers the fusion. I'll be going live on stream. Feel free to come out or come hang out and kind of watch the progression and kind of hang out and discuss the fusion and all of that. But now let's dive into this 10x Dark Elves summoning event that's going to be starting tomorrow. Okay, first of all, you know my general feelings on 10x events. I would say they are typically not worth it unless you get a chance for some super meta account changing champion like a Martyr or a Valkyrie, a Bad Alcazar, somebody that's gonna just be insane for account progression or clan boss progression. But the champions that are gonna be in this Dark Elf 10x are Ray, Foley, Ghostborn, Queen Ava, Blind Seer, Luria, Lua, and Sylar. As I pull up the Dark Elves, I'll go over kind of the talking points here. Blind Seer is going to be the Void Legendary that is part of this, and she's okay. She's got an amazing base speed. She's got an interesting kit with some revive and block damage, so she's going to be really good for faction wars. She's got turn meter boosting on her A1. I think she's pretty cool for dungeon progression and faction wars, but is she worth slamming unboosted void shards for? I don't think so. The other legendaries are going to be Ghostborn, Foley, Ray, and Queen Ava. Queen Ava, is an absolute double S tier campaign farmer because of her crit rate aura and her ability that is going to reset the cooldowns of all of her skills on kill, so she can just cycle through this ability, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, boom. She's got the increased crit rate, so you can always put crit damage gloves on her. You can gear her as super glass, and she can farm the campaign as a 5-star extremely easily. So she's the easiest champion in the game to get to one-shot all of the waves of 12-3. So other than that, she's not that great, but she is an absolute legend when it comes to campaign farming. That alone does not make her worth it, in my opinion. It's a nice little niche to have in the game, but it doesn't make her worth slamming shards for in this event. And next, I'll go ahead and touch on Ray. Ray is awesome. I love Ray. She's super good for dungeons with the speed aura. She's got the AoE freeze and buff removal. That's an amazing ability in the arena, that banish. She can hit pretty hard with this arcane wave. She's amazing for speed farming dungeons, for dungeon progression, for the arena. Campaign farmer. She's a really, really good champion. She's arguably the best one out of the legendaries in this event. Is she worth it though? The fact that she's not like meta in the clan boss, I would say it's not worth it. It would have to be, like I said, Martyr, Valkyrie, Venus, Battle, someone like that for me to recommend people, or like a Siphi or something, for me to recommend people go after 10Xs, but not because of any fault of Ray. Ray is an amazing champion. I love how she's designed, and she's very good, but it's just, the fault here is the 10X event structure and not the champions. You know, they're decent, and especially Ray, she's probably the best overall legendary out of all the ones in this, but the other one is Foley, who honestly is very good since his rework. He's really good in the arena. He can kind of self-sustain with the passive here that removes all of these CC effects, and he's got a really good base speed of 105. I'm seeing him used more and more in the arena as time goes on, and people kind of find out how good he is. He has some pretty decent multipliers, and he can do really good in many different areas of the game. He's also got a 4-hit A1 that decreases defense, so that's kind of cool. And he places Leech, which just got buffed recently. So Foley, definitely very useful, very good legendary, but yeah, like I've already covered why I think the 10X event is not worth it. The last one is Ghostborn, and Ghostborn is actually very cool. The selling point of Ghostborn is the debuff that can't be resisted of decreased defense. It's the big version, 100% chance to place, and I actually use Ghostborn in my end game, you know, super optimized spider strategy that I'll show you here. It only takes 11 seconds, but Ghostborn is the staple because it is a 100% perfectly predictable run that takes 11 seconds every single time. It's something I can get super consistent because of Ghostborn always landing the debuff and never failing. Even if you get somebody with 500 accuracy, there's a chance that they will fail. So that's why I built my my meta spider team around Ghostborn's debuffing, and that's kind of the main selling point for him as a champion. But as far as the epics in the 10X Dark Elves, it's going to be Luria, Lua, and Sylar. Sylar is kind of the selling point there out of the epics, in my opinion, but Sylar, again, she's not going to be usable in the clan boss, and she's decent in the arena. She's really, really, really good for faction wars, being void, the fact that she'll never be weak, and you can give her a stun set because of her A1, and she's got really good turn meter manipulation if you give her a ton of speed. So she's a cool champion. I like her. Again, the issue is not with the champions picked, other than the fact that there is no Ceres or a legendary that's meta for clan boss like Vizier. I really would have liked to see at least one of them or both of them be in this event. Now, if this event had Ceres, it'd be kind of a different discussion. Ceres is extremely good, and so is Vizier. If both of those were part of the 10X, then I might be singing a different tune, but it would still be tough for me to recommend a 10X event. So you kind of know my general sentiment by now. It's that for most of you, it's probably a good idea to save your shards and not pull them during this 10x event for Dark Elves. It has some cool champions in it, and maybe if you're a high spending player who's chasing one of these champions, it might not be a bad idea. But for 95% of us who are kind of diligent about our shard management and our spending management, probably a good idea to go ahead and skip this 10x Dark Elves event. But I wanted to cover it because it is starting tomorrow, and kind of just go over what I thought of the champions involved. So again, it will be for Ray, Foley, Ghostborn, Queen Ava, Blind Seer, Luria, Lua, and Sylar, and notably not including the best epic for the Dark Elves in Saris, and the most meta clan boss champion for the Dark Elves, which is Vizier. But yeah, that's gonna kind of do it for this video. Really fun to dive in and cover this fusion, and then go over the Dark Elves event starting tomorrow. So it's time for me to get to work and get this fusion done as soon as possible, so that I can max out this champion and test out his capabilities and kind of see exactly what we're working with here. So yeah, as always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.